You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I am your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Greg Hectus.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, David Hall.
On the road again.
All right, and Brian McCubbin.
Hey everybody, how's it going this week?
Great. On the show today, we'll check out some new Season 4 offerings and speculate about others. We see who punched their ticket to the Final Four in the eNASCAR Coke Series, and look at what might be the most expensive sim wheels we've ever seen, and ask if it could possibly be worth the money.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. And you can follow along with this on your PC or mobile device as you listen to the show and see for yourself all these great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting the show notes. So log on and we'll see you then.
All right into topics. We are in week 12. You know what that means, guys. Build inbound. And we know what's coming. This one is the Porsche 962. We get some nice teaser photos. I think they told us about this one the week before, but some nice teaser photos of it out on the track in the wild. This one's definitely coming in the Season 4 build next week.
I really like these IMSA cars that are coming out. I'm really interested to see, because they still had to unveil what we think is the Acura that was underneath the other silhouette.
Right. I like how the GTP series, or GTP class, I should say, is really rounding out with a lot of cars. You know, they're going to have a nice car count.
It'll make.
And that's
Go ahead,
happening
David.
because they've done a thing. Yeah, that's happening because they're expecting to be able, with all their optimizations, to up the car count, the unique car count, which so you'll be able to have more than the 9 classes that we've had in the past, or 8 classes, whatever it was.
Well, as they spend time optimizing the sim where it's not as heavy as you would call it, and they did some of that in Season 3. I mean, they were touting how the load times were down significantly. And I've noticed. All right, moving on. Greg, what's the next one that we might see next week? Could there be rain in the forecast?
Yeah, so we got a post here, or it was in the forums, that are talking about thinking about we're going to get the rain in the update, because obviously putting some things together. I guess David Kamer was talking a lot in the 15th anniversary stream about the rain a lot, and if you think about it, wouldn't to celebrate their 15th year anniversary here type thing, why wouldn't you go with the big thing that we've been waiting for?
You wouldn't, because it's not ready.
That's right.
Oh, I'm trying to.
This has been a quarterly speculation. Every quarter you speculate if this is the one that rain's coming. And Dave Kamer, he did talk a lot about it. I don't know if he's just really excited about it, or maybe he's kind of hinting at something. It's hard to tell. I guess we'll find out. If it is coming out this build, they sure have kept it quiet. That's for sure.
Looking back at other big endeavors, big projects, like the initial day and night system, I was in iRacing back when it didn't shift from day to night. It was static. But anyway, just like that project, and even the team racing project where you had multiple people in the same car. That took them forever and ever, and we every quarter, we would talk about, is it coming? Is it coming? And I think that's why iRacing got um, that culturally, that hashtag soon. Like, we know it's coming, but man, it just takes forever.
Well, I think the other thing that I'm wondering, and this is where my mind's thinking is, we haven't got the release for that second GTP car category car. What if they use that car to announce with the rain, or a video of both that car and the Porsche in the rain type thing? I don't know. It seems like we're missing out on some. As soon as probably tonight we're done the podcast, they'll announce something, or something will go live, waiting into next week.
Well, I don't know if we have a real big list for next week. So that's the other reason I think people are thinking maybe this is it, because it would definitely round out the list. I mean, if everything we know right now that's being released, as a package, and you add rain onto it, nobody's going to be disappointed. Oh, they didn't do enough.
Yeah, right now with just the stuff we know about, it would be a pretty very light build for sure. And
It would be a light build, right?
Yeah, rain would take it over the top if it came out with the other stuff we know is coming. But I know this: if you want rain for the Daytona 24, it's either got to be next week or build a season 1, because that'll be the last chance for it to be ready before the Daytona 24.
And that's why I'm thinking, why wouldn't you want to try and get, a season's worth of racing on it, so that there is no bugs for the
Right.
big one, right? You don't want.
Right. You want the guys
But
to
the
pound.
answer again is they'll put it. The answer is they'll put it out when it's ready. So they're not put it out. They're not going to delay it, because I think it's better to delay it just to have a better release time. They'll
Let
put
me
it out
guess. David uses Mint Mobile.
So the answer is not out. Is this not ready?
You sound like a robot.
Anybody that's
Yeah, we really
listening
can't
to
hear
the
you,
podcast, David's on the road. He's not actually with us. He's kind of doing the Dale Jr. podcast type thing from the road.
Yeah, but Dave does
it's probably
make
because I live in Arkansas. And the coverage is spotty.
All right, let's keep moving. We heard this week Trading Paints has had a data leak. Apparently, someone this week leaked 270,000 usernames and passwords from Trading Paints, reported by some guy on Twitter. Trading Paints later confirmed the breach in a post of their own. They basically lost the username and the password, from what I can tell. iRacing quickly chimed in and said, hey, make sure to change your iRacing password, especially if you use the same one on both services. And they definitely recommend a password change at iRacing as well if you're not sure.
And really, you should probably change any password for anything that you have that shares that your Trading Paints one.
Right. Because they're out there, they're in public view on the internet kind of thing. And so that's why you need to change it. So I investigated the passwords. I use a password manager system that generates this random, real long character with all the stuff in it. It's like gibberish, So I have it copy pasted into an app, and it's randomized from everything else that I use. So I don't feel too bad about it myself.
Yeah, but you're talking at least 270,000 users that may have been compromised in this leak. So it's a pretty good sized leak. I can't imagine Trading Paints has way more than that.
No, I think that sounds like all of them. If you think about it, that's probably every iRacer that over all 15 years that has ever used trading paints. Even though we don't have that many active now, I mean, that's how many have been through the service, This is a sensitive topic. I saw a Facebook group where an iRacer posted up that he has been permanently suspended from iRacing for reposting on social media the actual data where people could see it, like screenshot of it or something like to that effect. I don't know. But he was out, forthcoming. Yeah, I thought, I didn't even think twice about it. I put this out on social media. I'm telling you guys, be careful what you do, or you could be permanently suspended.
Yeah, I saw that, Mike, and that was that was a no joke type of deal. You are not ever going to race on iRacing ever again. Don't try another login. Don't try using somebody else's account because they'll get suspended too. It was pretty harsh. It was like, do not come back ever.
Which means they've locked in his IP address and are not going to let that one go.
Yeah, so that's not something to joke around with. I mean, we've seen how social media can have a negative effect on people. You look at, the NASCAR Cup driver who lost his job recently for liking a tweet. So yeah, I mean, you have to be careful what you're reposting, retweeting, whatever you want to call it. And I can almost put my feet, put myself in his shoes. Maybe in some way in his mind he thought he was trying to warn people about it by sending that social media post. But I don't know. I didn't see what he actually posted. But people needed to know, hey, you got to change your password. So that's how we all heard about it, was through social media. So you just have to be careful. All right, Brian, how about iRacing helps Turner Motorsports?
Yeah, Mike, might need a little help with this because I didn't quite get the entire gist of it. But Turner Motorsports tweeted out a thank you to Steve Myers from iRacing, and basically saying that that they really helped him get his sim racing techniques and use it towards getting a podium finish in the real world. Is that the gist of this one, Mike?
Yeah, when you open it up on the actual Twitter, you'll see it's a reply to a earlier tweet from BMW M Motorsports. And so what happened is their team at VIR basically won the race with crazy fuel saving, and the driver, I didn't catch his name. The driver gave 100% of the credit to his sim racing experience on iRacing to get him that crazy fuel mileage.
Robbie Foley?
Foley, yeah, Robbie, yeah, that's it, Foley.
BMW factory driver.
Okay, that's really cool because we've heard stories of professional drivers, real world drivers, saying that they've used iRacing, for driving lines or braking points or learning tracks. But I don't think I've ever heard a real world driver give credit to iRacing for learning different fuel management strategies.
You could practice that. You could say, okay, I'm doing 44 laps at Darlington is my normal pace on fuel. Crew chief says, I want you to stretch that to 50. So you go out and run a run and you try to make it to 50, and you have to figure out where you back off. Do you clutch it, Greg? You back off early. There's a lot, or you never go 100% on the throttle. You only go 80%. There's lots of ways of doing it.
Well, and the thing here is like even with all this is like you kind of feel like they have the data at BMW and Turner Motorsports would have some data of their car, and then how well does it translate to what it is in iRacing, but they can kind of gauge it. This is what iRacing's data number is. This is what their data number is. So they can kind of just use that as a percentage to try and figure out how he, where he's can save more money or sorry, no, save more fuel, um, and translate it to the real world, and maybe he learned in that time too. He could, that saying of sometimes going slower makes you go faster, right?
You back up your corners, and suddenly you're getting on the gas earlier than ever, and yeah, you get faster.
That's really cool. Um, you know, the the tracks are laser scanned. We all know that. So the tracks are very accurate to real life. But in this instance, not only do you have to have the track down, but you also have the fuel consumptions of the cars pretty much nailed to what real world is. You have to use, how much, throttling back affects your fuel mileage. All has to be pretty accurate in order for this to translate to the real world. So it's a real good thumbs up for not just how well the tracks are rendered in iRacing, but how well the engineering and the performance of the cars is modeled in iRacing as well.
Mike, I don't know if you're
And the
gonna.
fuel mileage.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna get to this part too. Steve replied to that one that we've kind of just talked about here, saying that he will get back to his team and let them know the kind words. But he said he might send a video crew to down to the, I guess, Turner Motorsports facility and if you interview their guys, and then they wanted to get up there to see their new shop as well. And Turner Motorsports replied, yes, yes, and yes.
Didn't Turner Motorsports provide a car to scan one of the cars? I think they
Yeah,
did.
that's the yellow and blue
The BMW, right?
BMW GT4, I believe it is.
Right. Yeah, so Steve Myers from iRacing obviously has a relationship. He sees potential for a video. I saw potential for a story to talk about with the fuel saving for sure. So yeah, pretty cool.
Well, you know what that also does is like say down the road too. These are things that that they're creating relationships with teams, right? So, say down the road maybe they switch manufacturers or they switch, something, or they're in a different class and they're in a different manufacturer or a different type of car. It just lends themselves to getting help to scan another car down the road or get some data from it too, right?
Well, exactly. Keep that relationship fresh. All right, I got this one. Is ARCA the best car? We have a video from the DJ EJ. Explains why he likes the Gen 4 and the ARCA car the best, which are kind of the same car, right? They just took the restrictor plate off and called it Gen 4. And the reason he likes this series, and he pretty much runs this series a lot, or the most, it's short. It has no yellow. Um, you're done in 20-25 minutes, depending on what track it is. Uh, it it pays people who save tires correctly to make the whole run, to last the whole run. Because you got those people that burn them off in the first few laps, like me. But he has, it really pays off being smooth, and keeping momentum up, which can pay off on other cars. So he had all these different reasons about why he likes the ARCA Fix series.
Yeah, I thought he also said
I
that
like I like the one.
Sorry, Dave. I'll finish up real quick.
Right.
I thought he also said that he liked that these cars, you can move them around a little bit as far as getting them loose. You're on the edge a little bit more, so you can get them get them to come around to help you turn a little bit better than you can in some of the other cars.
He does have a
out the
good
back
point.
end.
A few good points in there, but I prefer the long run races when they turn into long runs, because then you really have to save tires, and that can be a factor in the next gen sometimes at places like Darlington.
So it's good to see DJ EJ back. He mentioned in his post that he hasn't been posting for a little while because he was on vacation. And when he got back from vacation, he was sick for a little while. So he was one of the guys who we were really starting to get into his videos. It's good to see him back. But yeah, he makes some good points. ARCA cars are also they're fun. They're difficult to race on plate tracks or super speedways because you can't push, so it's a little bit hairier in those types of races as well.
All right, we're a little out of order. This next video we actually have doubled down below, so we're going to skip that and go on to eNASCAR finale, back to the Hall of Fame. And it's been announced by iRacing and NASCAR. The Dale Earnhardt Jr. Cup and a $100,000 prize will be awarded to the 2023 Series champion. And you can watch in person at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Limited seating open to the public. Now, if you can go to this event, you have to get a ticket. Free tickets are available at tickets@iracing.com. You need to send an email. If I was closer, I would go. This sounds like so much fun just to watch how it goes down, to be in the audience, cheer, check out the rigs, talk to people. It sounds like a blast.
Yeah, so this is the second year they did this, right? If I'm not mistaken. And last year we followed it live, and I think we all watched it together, and it was really well done. We had some neat conversations about people bringing their rigs to North Carolina who weren't from the area and all that kind of stuff, or if somebody was going to be racing on something they're not used to. So really cool that they're doing it again, because this should be witnessed in person. I think. I mean, it's a fairly big deal. And other esports do this kind of thing live and in person in arenas or whatever. I think this is something that iRacing should look at doing more if possible.
Do you think we should do the watch along again this year, Mike?
Yeah, and then maybe this time we'll invite our listeners to join us in Discord instead of just a team.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so you guys want to listen to it with us and join the conversation, plan on getting in Discord for that. It'll be September 26th on a Tuesday night. Let's move on to the Coke race itself. It was at Dover. I got to watch parts of this. I was kind of busy working on a broken clothes washer, but Nick Ottinger wins it and finally gets a win this year. But what timing! When you win right at this point of the playoffs, guess what? You're in the Final Four. Because I believe he got in on points, as far as the championship battles go. And now that he's got the win, boom, he makes it.
So is that 2 guys in now? Or 1?
No, that's 2. The guy before who won is in.
Garrett Lowe.
So,
Garrett Lowe, yes.
Right. So Garrett Lowe and now Ottinger. And Ottinger was fast all night. I mean, we had different groups of cars up front depending on, fuel strategy and tire strategy kind of thing. So
how many more races do they have before the final? 1 more?
Should be 2 more.
2 more?
2 more.
Yeah.
And then the final. Right. So we only have 3 left.
So right now, Steven Wilson is in 3rd place in points to make the Final Four, and Jordy Lopez is in 4th in the Final Four. So, the points are obviously really close right now. Winning is idea to make that Final Four, obviously, because to point your way in is going to be really difficult, especially with two spots already locked up with winners.
He had a wreck on lap 1 in the back of the field. It was kind of comical. But yeah, I didn't get to see a lot, so I can't talk about the actual racing. But congrats to Nick.
Yeah, and just to tell you how important that win is, without that win, Nick is sitting in 6th place. I think 6th place in points if he doesn't get that win.
Yeah, no way he advances, right?
No, I'm sorry, he's in 7th place without that win.
Yeah, you pretty much have to win in this part of to get in. But now Garrett Lowe, I now it's coming back to me. He was actually running really good in this race, and he actually led a bunch of it. And he came in with 0 laps practice. Why? Because he's practicing for the final race. He's already putting in the time to get his set ready for that. So he literally came into Dover without a lap, and then he ended up running really good, really well. But Ottinger had a little bit more speed.
Yeah, that is definitely the advantage of winning and winning early in this playoff format. Once you know you're in, it doesn't matter how the next 3 races go. You can focus strictly on the last race of the season. Is it Phoenix for this, or is it
There's only 2 races left. I just looked at
Homestead.
the schedule. There's Phoenix and Homestead are the only 2 races left.
Right. So
Okay.
Homestead.
Well, then I guess only one more could win their way in.
Yeah, so there's going to be 1 point in, and possibly 1 more win in, or 2 points in.
Cool. Hey, Greg, how about some more new content for next week? This was announced by Kevin Harvick, actually.
Yeah, so we got a video on the iRacers Twitter or X page for the Kern County Speedway, or Raceway Park, I guess they call it. It was a quick video. It was nice to see. I guess they got 4 configurations. I've never heard of this track until I saw the video, and I thought, looking at it, I'm like, it's nice that they have 4 configurations for this track, and it looks like it'll be fun with the short track cars.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
saw
so
pictures last week, I think. Yeah, and then we saw this is the video of actual cars on the track, which looks really cool.
I like that it has, the big outside track with they got the dirt and the asphalt, and then they got the little Legends track for dirt and asphalt too, right?
Yeah, inner and outer. Which kind of looks, a little sketchy because of that wall in between them. Like you thinking, oh man, they're gonna hit that wall in between them. But yeah,
Where is this track located?
California.
Oh, okay.
in California.
That explains why Harvick endorsed it. That's where he grew up
It's
on,
his
right?
home track. This
Yeah.
is where he came up. Yeah. And so when iRacing initially announced it, I think Harvick actually put out a tweet or at the same moment or something. So yeah, that's why I was saying he announced it. All right, I got the next one. More new content. iRacing shows off their newest entry into the NASCAR Legacy 87 series, and it's the Pontiac. This is from Petty's Garage. So you recall when Dale Jr. was looking for cars to scan for this series, Petty's Garage was quick to raise their hand and say, hey, we got one right here. And so my understanding is this is that car.
I love the way the look of this car looks. It kind of reminds me of like a hatchback before the hatchbacks because it's got the long glass out the back. It's so nice looking. I'm definitely, when I'm going to run some of those 87 races, this would definitely going to be my car of choice.
I was going to say that bubble glass sticking out. That's a topic idea. Bubble glass is sticking out of the back on the back window. I mean, when you see the side view, the glass goes from like the top greenhouse part all the way back to the spoiler, almost straight. But the frame of the car is like a normal, cut. And so, yeah, it looks like bubble glass.
I feel like there's like an aerodynamic advantage that Pontiac tried to get back then with that car.
I think you're right.
More
I think it
downforce.
probably does help. Yeah.
I think it's trying to get more air off of that rear spoiler and make it go around it. But this just this kind of just shows like I feel like this is where we kind of lose an era of like we got these cars coming in with all their awesome body types. I feel like if we got the old like Pontiac, maybe the Chevy Lumina and the the Thunderbird back in the early to mid '90s or later '90s would be an awesome era to get to because I relate more of that for when I'm being a Jeff Gordon fan, but when I first started growing up with the Rainbow Warrior car and the early Monte Carlos and stuff like that.
So we have a guy who commented on the Instagram post called Rodney NS, and he says 1993-ish cars next, maybe the Lumina, the Thunderbird, or the Grand Prix, etc.
Because there's
That's what you were saying.
Well, there's one car that stands out in my head that I think of when I think of if you think of your Ford, your Monte Carlo or Lumina or Pontiac, I think of the Exide
The
car.
Sabra.
Well, I think of the Exide car from Jeff Burton when he drove the '99 car, when it was a Thunderbird and then it went to the Taurus, or the Pontiac for Bobby Labonte.
It's pretty cool. I mean, they could have just stopped with the 3 or 4, 87 cars they have, but hey, let's add a fifth. And there's more. I think Dale's planning other cars besides this.
Isn't this the fourth? Is this the fourth or fifth?
This will be fifth. I think we already added a fourth.
Because we
The
have
Buick was the fourth.
I think that was the
no, the
third.
Buick was the third and this
Oh,
is the
was
fourth.
it? Okay. Okay.
But you're probably right. I would love to see how. I actually never did look it up to see how many manufacturers competed in '87.
Yeah, we want them all. All right, Brian, how about an iRacing 15 anniversary series wrap up?
Yeah, so if you remember, iRacing was doing a series to celebrate their 15-year anniversary by using 4 of the original cars that iRacing came out with 15 years ago, and it was a 4-week series. And if you completed a race in all 4 of the weeks, then you would be eligible for some pretty cool prizes. Matter of fact, 15 prizes were $1,000 in iRacing credits, which is pretty good. I think there was a grand prize too, I think, but I don't remember for sure. I think that was like the unlimited unlock everything prize.
They said it initially before, I think you're right. They said there would be a grand prize, but this post doesn't mention the grand prize. It just mentions the 15 random winners who did all 4 races or 4 weeks. I was one of those people. I did participate in all 4 to try to get this. They got $1,000 iRacing credits. I'm going to read off the short list real quick, and hopefully some of our listeners are in this list. We got Ada Wolf, Travis Ingerson, Jonathan Jordan, Peter Brennan, Grant Holcomb, Jack Russell, Will Reichard, Rebecca Davin, Passy Ahopto, Sebastian McNulty, Travis Clausen, Eric Finson, Michael Proper, Dario Frattini, Michael Gudger.
Yeah, so
Well done.
in the post they were saying that it was like about 470 people that completed all 4 races. So, I mean, that's 15 chances out of 450 people. It's pretty good odds. Sorry you weren't one of them, Mike, but you had some pretty good odds to win that prize.
I figured the odds would be good. Who's going to do all 4 weeks? They'll forget about it, this and that. So that's why I did it. I never win stuff like this, but Anyway, it was fun to run those cars and just reminisce about, when back in the day.
Yeah. So there was a forum post thread where somebody was in there asking if they had done the drawing yet, if they knew the names yet, and somebody finally posted them and said, "Hey, dude, the guy who was asking the question in the forum post was one of the winners." It was pretty cool. It's like, dude, you won. You're one of the winners.
He probably had the 1,000 in his credits, and then he's like, "Is this real? I'm gonna go check." The other
Yeah.
thing they put out to finish up the week was a slideshow on a YouTube video with some music. Just a slideshow of pictures, images over the 15 years of iRacing. There's a lot of mix of early artwork from the very early days, the very first car, the Skip Barber. Dale Jr. back as a young lad with his first, wheel setup, looked like a Logitech. Lots of neat images. So if you're interested, just take a couple minutes and watch this. It's pretty cool.
Oh, the nostalgia of the COT car with the wing. When it had the wing before it put the spoiler back on.
So
Yeah.
iRacing did their deposits a few days ago for their 1 year, $1 per year anniversary credits. Did you guys check and see if you got yours yet?
I got mine.
I got $11.
I got 14.
I got 13. So cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Just to go back a second there, Mike, to the segment about the '87 series cars. There's only one car left that they have that competed in 1987 that hasn't been scanned, and it's the Oldsmobile.
And didn't they pick the Buick LeSabre because it basically was the same thing as the Oldsmobile? I think that's one of the reasons why they went with that before they went to this final Pontiac.
Well, there was only two teams in 1987 that competed with the or the Oldsmobile. No, was it? Yeah, the Oldsmobile had two teams, and the Buick had a lot more. So I'm guessing that's why they pulled from that catalog.
Well, if the cars have the identical look, yeah, we could be done probably getting cars. Okay, Brian, how about World of Outlaw late models?
Yeah, so the World of Outlaws Butt Kicker Late Model Series was at Eldora this past week, and turns out that we had a repeat winner, but it wasn't one you might have thought of. It's Kendall Tucker picks up his second win of the season. Second place went to Evan C., who again continues his podium finish streak, going back to the beginning of last year, which is now reaching 17 races straight podium finishes. Blake Majulis finished third in the race. All three of those guys, the first, second, and third, are all teammates. It's actually Majulis C Speed Shop, I think it is called. They're all teammates. So, which meant a couple things. They were all respectful to each other because they're not going to take any crazy moves to try to get by their teammate. Evan C was really trying to pass Kendall Tucker to get this win, but just could not pull it off. The high line was definitely dominant, as it typically is at Eldora. And Evan C would try to go low and try to get ahead of him coming off the corner, but he was just carrying too much speed off of the top line and just couldn't get by. And it was actually a really close finish. They were just half a car distance from each other at the finish line. So week 8. Or I'm sorry, week 9 next week is at Lincoln Speedway. So it'll be the first time the late models will be at Lincoln. And Evan C is just carrying a monster lead into that final 2 weeks.
No way he can lose it. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean it's a 72-point lead right now. I think that's more than what you can get in one race. So almost. I think 78 points might be the tops if you win the heat and feature. So he's almost a full race points ahead of second place. But it's still interesting to see if he can continue his podium finish streak and wrap this thing up probably next week if he gets another good finish. Really good racing again. Eldora Speedway is a lot of fun, and so 2 more races to go. It looks like Evan C is definitely going to be cruising to his next championship.
No, Kendall Tucker's doing everything he can do. I mean, he's winning the race, but when
Right.
the points leader comes in second, right behind you, you're not gaining on him. You know what I mean?
You gain 3 points. That's it by winning.
Right. It's like you'll
So
never dig into that 70, 80 points, whatever it
yeah.
is. Oh my.
One thing I wanted to talk about real quick that I never really got a chance to talk to about this series, and I'm going to compare it a little bit to the Coke series. There's a lot higher amount of drivers in this series that use VR compared to Coke. I don't know if anybody does VR in the Coke series. There's got to be at least half of these drivers are in VR. Now I don't know if it's because with the way these cars hang out, you might need to be able to see a little bit more to your left or as you're making these turns because the car's not always pointed in the right way, or if it's they don't need quite as much data as you might need in a Coke series with longer runs and more tire wear and stuff like that, more drivers on the track. But I just thought it was kind of curious because a lot of the times they do go to those shots of the drivers during the race, and a lot of them are using VR.
Yeah. I would say it's got to have some kind of advantage for the dirt racings. That's why most of them are doing it. Got to be. Because you look at the comparison, like you said, to the pavement professionals, and very few, if none of them, are using VR. So
yeah, I don't know if it's. I'm sure if it was an advantage, they would do it or not do it based on what was the best advantage. But Evan does it. I know Blake Majulis does it. A lot of the guys are in there in VR.
all right, I'll take this one. I'm very excited about Draft Master. After the success of the Ringmeister series, which was different cars on the same track, we're now going to do the same thing in ovals. But we're going to do Daytona and Talladega restrictor plate racing, basically, with a mix of oval cars. And this will debut in season 4 after week 13. It will affect SR and IR. It'll be truck, car of tomorrow, Xfinity, 87s, Gen 4, Next Gen, and so forth. So the cars will repeat twice, each car, once at Daytona, once at Talladega.
That's right. It's 6 weeks right off the bat at Daytona, and then they switch over to the second 6 weeks at Talladega. Did they mention if I'm assuming it's fixed or is this open setup? Did they mention that?
I don't think it says, but I think it's fixed.
Yeah, I don't know
I
if it
think
would make a huge
Ringmeister is
difference. Okay, I don't know if it make a huge difference being fixed or just in qualifying. I think makes the biggest difference in fixed for super speedways. I don't think the racing itself makes a big difference. And it's 20 laps, right? 20 lap races, no yellows. So it's going to be flat
Yeah.
out. Qualifying is going to be pretty big.
Yeah. I look at this as a two-edged sword. I'm like, I can farm some iRating here. I can get to some wins. I'm trying to get to win 100 this year. This might be a way to get some quick official wins. A quick 20 lap race. So there's that side of it. Like I'm gonna grow my iRating, but then you're like, wait a minute, 20 lap, no caution, gonna be a freaking show. You know what I mean?
What's the protest to race ratio that'll come out of this series?
Oh my! So the only problem, Mike, is your increase in I rating might be adversely inverted for your SR rating. That's might be the issue.
So yeah, so the day after, I was thinking, oh my, if I start this series, I could lose all my IR, very quickly. 130 a pop. You have one big wreck and finish dead last. That's 130 I rating. Boom.
Mike, I look at this like going to a casino. If you're gonna start bleeding I rating, you gotta know when you get I rating and safety rating. You gotta know when to get out and stop doing it before you run out of it, or you lose a license class and you're not in the NIS races anymore.
I'm in a weird position because I'm running for the championship in NIS against Tom. He's 3,400 and I'm 2,600 I rating. So he's making way more points than I am, even if we have the same finish. And so I'm going to lose this championship because of my I rating. And so this series, can I farm it or am I going to lose my ass in it? I need to figure that out. And man, if I can farm it, I need to take advantage of this so I can win the championship. Or I'll go into this series and get wrecked a few times and earn even less points against Tom.
Take $20 to the casino, and once it's gone, it's gone. Don't keep going.
So what's the first week? That'll probably determine how I go.
Truck series.
Trucks at Daytona.
You don't even get to the next gen till week 6. The legacy car of tomorrow will be absolutely crazy.
The truck is probably my least favorite car on the list.
Well, we know if you get out front in the 87, if you're in the lead, you'll spin off of one of the corners.
Yeah, so maybe I should selectively do it depending on what car it is. Like I'll do the next gen.
We're talking like off the ledge here on which ones to do.
I'll do car. I'm really good at car tomorrow, so I'd probably excel at that. And then next gen probably Xfinity truck, and I'd probably suck.
What about the 87s? You're pretty good at those, right?
That's what we just talked about.
I get out front and I'll spin it out.
He spins it out every time he's up front.
The ARCA cars, we talked about this, and DJ EJ, who did a video about this new Draftmaster series, talks about it too. The Gen 4, which is the ARCA car body, you cannot push. You try to push them, you just spin the guy in front of you. So if I can imagine, 30 cars trying to win a 20-lap feature race where you can't push, how crazy that could be.
Well, the good thing is the Gen 4 is before the next gen series, so you're not thinking, oh, I was in the next gen the week before, I can push real hard and then get into the Gen 4 and go, uh-oh.
And so DJ EJ is very excited about this series. It's right up his alley. Like we talked about before, he loves the short 20-lap ARCA races and stuff, no caution. That's exactly what this is.
Kind of reminds me of back. Oops, sorry. It kind of reminds me back when you used to run the rookie legends and stuff like that. Quick races, but then you can move on. Did they say what time periods they're at yet?
I thought I saw it somewhere, but we don't have it on the script. I think it was 3 time slots, American friendly, one right after the other in the evening on, I think, a Tuesday, Thursday, and another day, I forget.
So it's not like every couple hours or anything like that?
It's not. No, it's a limited race. It's not like NIS where there's just one, but there was like 3 in the evening. So that kind of makes it friendly for all the different time zones.
It also makes it more sought after too, because if it was all day, every couple hours, it would kind of lose its luster probably too.
I think it was lined up where you could actually run like 3 in a row, if you wanted to. But I can't find the information right now. I don't know where I saw that. All right, Greg, how about iRacing and the FIA?
Well, I was gonna look. I was looking through this one. So we already have this car, right, Mike? This is. Is this one you competed in
F4,
yet?
yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the F4, they're making an F4 Esports regional tour. The FI announced it. They're gonna partnership with iRacing like they've already done, and collaborate. Sorry, I guess with iRacing, and this will be a regional series. Just bringing up the article here. They um, when does it start here? So they started this series. I guess was there something already started this year, Mike?
Well, so we had the FIA in season 3 with the F4 series, but it was just like in name only. There wasn't really anything to it. Now, what we're going to do is they're going to race as 4 different regions. So there's 2 European regions, the Americas and Asia Pacific. And so they're splitting Europe into 2. And then there'll be, like I said, America and then Asia Pacific. So that way you're going to be grouped, apparently, racing for your region.
Okay, so then
Races will take place Wednesday and Thursday. Oh, this is what I was talking about. Maybe I was thinking about this instead of the Draftmeister. This says races will take place on Wednesday and Thursday at 7, 9, and 11 p.m. in time zones appropriate for each region.
okay, so if you're in the Americas, it's going to be in those type of time zones for that area.
Right. So in Americas, I think it would be 7, 9, and 11 p.m. Eastern.
It's going to be interesting to see how popular. I don't know how popular was when the FIA first announced that they're going to partnership, but I wonder how popular this series will be right off the bat. It kind of the FIA being in this kind of makes me wonder down the road what more gets brought to iRacing having that partnership, because we kind of don't see a lot of the open wheel. We have open wheel cars, but we don't have a lot of partnerships with. We've got the Mercedes partnership with F1, but it's kind of just like down the road after the car becomes obsolete. Does this ever open up to actually having a series that's legitimately a car, that's not a couple years old type thing?
Yeah, perhaps. It's moving forward. That's good. They're taking it to the next level. That's the way I see it. But it's kind of neat that iRacing's able to group the points into these new regions that are, I think, different than the regular regions we normally would use, right? I remember back when I first started, it was a big deal to race for, your region in certain events, and you go to the website and you look at points. There's even a column for, your regional points. Nowadays, nobody gives a crap about regional points. Doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah, and this is not racing for your region, it's racing within your region against other people in your region.
Right, because the time is in your time zone. So even though it's probably open registration to everybody, you're going to be racing people that are in your country or in around you, so to speak. I was thinking I'm kind of open on Thursday nights after the recording, that maybe I would run this F4 on a Thursday night on that 9 p.m. Or 11 p.m. time slot. And so I might do this once a week. I've been trying to find a series that I can kind of dabble in on the road, and I kind of got away from it for a bit. And so this might be it. This might be what I try. Okay, and next up is events. Greg, I'll let you talk about this one because you've run it before. The Bathurst 1000.
Yeah, so this one is usually one that David and I kind of try and get past the first, what, 2 hours of it, David?
Nah, we haven't tried it in a while because I do not like it in that car.
Anyway, so the Bathurst 1000's coming up. What weekend is it? It is on. Is it this Saturday?
The 16th and 17th of September.
Okay, so they still have their normal time slots. Saturday, 3 o'clock GMT. Saturday, 7 o'clock GMT. Saturday, 12 o'clock GMT, and then Saturday, 1600 GMT. So they got Australian server for the first time slot, and the other three servers are US servers. Um,
Supercars are the cars.
yep, supercars. I wonder when we're going to get the new supercars that have been developed too. We haven't got. We're on an older version once again with the way that they have a car of tomorrow for the supercars as well. But here nor there. So it's starting at 10:40 a.m. is the race time. It's 161 laps. It's a long race. I love this track. Just never get a real good chance to run it for the full distance yet.
Do you
I
have
think
the
what's hard-
supercars, Greg?
I do.
Yeah, I do. I think what's hard about this track is there's a lot of places where there's zero runoff. You make a mistake going down the hill, you're done.
Yeah, one mistake, it's over. There's the only grassy area would be once you get down to the lower section coming down the hill, but even then you have too much speed to even scrub that off from not hitting an object out there. It's also your favorite spots down at the bottom of that hill, Mike, where you do your jumps.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's fun to do. That's what I end up doing when I go to that track. I usually, let's see if we can land this thing on its wheels. All right, podcast housekeeping. Don't forget to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find us. Mention the podcast in your races to fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We appreciate it. Get involved in the Discord. We have a website, iRacersLounge.com, where you can see the show script. And we have a new website, iRacersLounge.shop. That's right, guys. Merchandise is finally here. Thank you to David Hall for project managing. Thanks to Bobby Jonas for the artwork. We have proper merchandise for order. If you go to iRacersLounge.shop, that'll redirect you to the shop where we're partnering with. There's shirts, there's hats, there's jerseys, there's giant mouse pad, there's beanie cap, there's a flat bill cap, you name it. So get your iRacers Lounge merch. You can just get a sticker. They even have just a simple sticker to put on your car. So we've been around a long time. I've always wanted to do merchandise. I've been lazy myself to make it happen. David made it happen pretty darn quick. So congratulations to you.
Yeah, so go buy stuff. A lot of neat designs. It's the traditional graphics and a couple of the jerseys. You can actually get your name on them if you want to actually have it like a jersey. So you can be a part of. You can basically kind of be a team iRacers Lounge with the jersey and everything. If you leave your name off of the entry, it just leaves that field blank. But that option's there for anybody who wants it. And that was actually Tony Rochette's idea.
Yeah, and it puts your flag on one shoulder. I think we have Sim Wraps, one of our sponsors, on one shoulder. The other shoulder is the United States flag or whatever flag you pick when you order. So yeah, it's a proper jersey. The colors are great. The design is great. I'm gonna place an order for a bunch of stuff. Actually, I'm gonna order several items. And some of those items are probably going to go to our fantasy winner too. So let's jump to fantasy, Brian.
All right. So the winner of the week at Daytona was Dollars and Cents took the win. iRacing Mason finished second, with Rez Dog finishing third. Low point numbers, which is not unusual for a plate track. 204 points for Dollars and Cents with the win. Not too many Tifosi guys were in the top 10 on this one, unfortunately. I think we have to go all the way to, man, it looks like 13th. No, sorry. Tyler Williamson and Tony Rochette tied for 17th. Not great showing by us this week. I didn't put my picks in. I forgot because of the race starting early, and I didn't even get to watch it because football preempted the coverage on my network. So I did terrible, but I did beat Donnie Spiker, who had 1 point. So Donnie, congratulations, Donnie. I don't know how you even get 1 point, but Donnie did it. Good job, buddy.
I mean, I had
So that
Blaney.
means I have not done my picks. That means I haven't done my picks in like 10 weeks, and I still beat Donnie.
Ethan.
It may not be. You may not use your. Once you run out of picks for your driver, it may just drop them off and not replace them.
Yeah, that's what it does. If you have drivers that you've used up all your time with, you just don't get anything for that.
All right, so Daytona was Daytona. What about next week? Who do we like there? We like.
I'm gonna say Chase Elliott.
For Darlington.
after the points, after the playoffs are wrapped up.
After
Chase
it's
gets
too
the
late,
win.
yeah. Now Chase will do it. Maybe.
I feel like
But don't forget,
Ross.
I feel like a Hendrick
Don't forget though,
car.
Chase is still in the. Sorry, the delay is messing us up, but Chase is still in the owner's points.
That's true. Yeah.
I feel like the Hendrick cars will just, they always come alive in the playoffs, and Byron's got a good lead, so he kind of can race a little bit differently, but Larson's kind of been quiet. He's been just getting finishes the last little bit. Larson's really good at Dover running Darlington running the high line. I mean, Joey's a good candidate for a win there. I know Eric Jones always
Rick
had
Jones.
a chance, but that car's just not competitive anymore at all. Maybe when they switch to Toyota next year, but I just don't see that coming out anywhere. I don't know if any of the dark horses, having the first race is Darlington, I don't think any of the dark horses in the bottom of the standings could possibly win it, but you never know.
Harvick, Harvick, is he going to get a win before the year's out, before he retires? I think that's what I'm watching for. I don't know if this is the week he'll do it, though. Probably Phoenix. Remember, he's so good at Phoenix.
Well, it was last year in the playoffs, last year, a couple years, he was one of the best cars at Bristol, too, and we got that coming up in a couple weeks.
All right, hardware, software, presented by Metro Ford from Chicago. Our first story, Greg, Semicube active pedal faces available now.
Yeah, so this is Instagram post where they're just bringing out or showing the new face to their pedals. Is that what it is, Mike? If I'm correct here,
It's just a new face. Yeah, it's a different design than you get when you buy it.
I kind of like. I don't know if I like a flat faced throttle pedal, but this is just three different designs they have, but they're kind of cool the way they go with the actual design of the Semicube pedals. It's not bad. I just don't know if I'm spending money on pedals, is that a market for having different faces for them?
Well, it says here in the post, we've worked closely with the SemiCube Discord members to fine-tune and gather feedback for designing our new pedal faces.
Okay, so this is kind of like having an upgraded, so like, an option when you're buying them then, instead of like an aftermarket.
Right, it'll be like an add-on or something, right? Or they'll change it permanently, perhaps. But notice the white striping, the white stripe. It's got some continuity between the 3 different pedal faces, if you can see that. Like it's supposed to continue from the brake, the white line or stripe continues from the brake right over to the throttle. So it's supposed to look kind of, artsy, I guess. The pedal face itself has like small holes kind of embedded, I guess is the way to say it, or small round indentations to help you with grip. Yeah, pretty cool. Still can't afford them. Brian, let's talk about what else we can't afford.
Yeah, guys. So if you're in the market for a wheel, Porsche is coming out with a new GT 911 GT3 wheel, and it's a sim wheel that Porsche is getting involved with, and it's you can have it for the low price of $10,475. So this is by far the most expensive wheel I think we've ever seen on this show. It's I wouldn't call it a replica. It like is a Porsche wheel, right? There's really nothing that's different other than it works on a simulator instead of their car. I would hope so for that cost, but it works with most manufacturers' wheelbases, and there's no LED, no screen or nothing. It's just the Porsche wheel.
Holy cow. I mean, last week we talked about a real BMW wheel that Fanatec has, and I think it was $1,500, okay? And you could use it in a real race car and all that. Now, this is like the Porsche version of this, and now in the comments somewhere on one of these posts, I thought I saw you could use it on any wheel with the right QR and such. It's cabled, but yeah, the price, holy cow, $10,475.
This just is so weird, because I get kind of flashbacks of does it not look like the original Fanatec wheel back? Like it looks kind of like what Fanatec's original wheels before they got into like the CSLs and stuff like that. Their old stuff. It was like it kind of looks cheap. I don't want to say it looks cheap.
It looks
but
dated.
yes, it looks very out of date. You're paying obviously for the name. I feel like this is there's like only one target market for this, and it's the Porsche enthusiasts that buy like every Porsche 911, even though for every year, saying that it's different every year, and it's truly not.
Right, it's for the Porsche collector, but he has a sim rig, and so now he can have his Porsche wheel in the sim rig. Look, if you line this wheel up against all the other popular wheels that we talk about every week, and you didn't say anything to me and said to pick, I wouldn't pick this one. I mean, it looks dated. The whole center of it is got no functionality at all. I mean, it's just got the Porsche logo, and that's it. And it reminds me of my grandma's Cadillac, with the big old Cadillac logo in the middle, and yeah.
The buttons aren't anything spectacular. They're pretty plain. I don't know if they're backlit or anything. It doesn't look like it in these photos, but they're nothing to write home about, right? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. There's a nice stand it looks like it comes with. Well, you can show it
Right.
off.
A display stand, yeah. So if you could keep it off your rig, just display it under glass or something. I don't know. It's crazy. I don't get it.
All right, I'll take the next one. Sim Magic Shifter / Handbrake. Lawrence Dusalsois, sorry, I butcher that name every time, reviews the Sim Magic DS8X sequential shifter and the TB1 handbrake. Yeah, so I watched this video. He is very happy. He's from the UK, first of all, the video guy. And so he mounts all the stuff on the left side instead of the right, like we would here. And that threw me off a little bit. But he's doing some rally and he's using that handbrake and he seems to like it. And as far as the sequential shifter, I mean, we've seen reviews on this one before from others, and nobody ever has anything bad to say about the Sim Magic shifter. It seems to be a pretty solid offering.
Yeah, they're really good looking shifters and handbrakes too. Easy mounting for if you're on 80/20, really, or anything else. And you got that option for the H pattern and sequential, which is really cool. Yeah, so it's something that I've been looking for one that goes from H pattern to sequential without breaking, which the Fanatec pretty much always does. This one might be on my list if I don't hear too much about a convertible one from the Bazooka shifter. So I'm going to keep this in mind for the future because I think it's really nice. It's one of the better ones I've seen that can go from H to sequential.
And it's got like a knob or a switch kind of thing on the left side of it to switch it from, H pattern to sequential. So easy switch. There's no like taking it apart or putting in a pattern or doing this or that. You just flip the knob and boom, you're up and running. I think he also said if you got both of them that one is longer than the other, so you'd have to have two separate pieces to mount it to. They don't line up, the bottoms of them. But I don't know if I ever am going to get a handbrake. I just, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so too. Our teammate Tyler has talked about getting one, and I think he might even got one. But he does like to do the rally stuff, and if I was a rally enthusiast, I would definitely get one. But for what I do, a handbrake seems a little unnecessary.
And I think Lawrence likes this handbrake because of how it's huge. I mean, it's like I want to say 2 foot long with a big old handle on the top. So you got your hands on the wheel and he reaches over for it, and he's not reaching down. He's just moving his hand to the left off the wheel, and the handle's right there. So it's the proper size that a handbrake should be.
Right, and that you don't always see that in handbrakes. They're typically lower. No matter what you do, it's hard to get them up high enough to where you're actually seeing them in some of these cars where they're way up tall.
Yeah, I think that's the whole idea. Is you don't take your hand very far off the wheel; it's right there.
Yep, exactly.
All right, Brian. How about the MVH Studios GTS Series 2? This one got me drooling.
Yeah, MVH Studios reveals a new affordable GTS Series wheel. So they're trying to make sim racing affordable without locking you into an ecosystem. For example, if you get a Logitech, the Logitech comes with a Logitech wheel. You can't change it. Well, now you can, because this new MVR series makes it possible to use the same wheel on entry wheelbase such as a Logitech, and then seamlessly connect it to a direct drive wheelbase as well. So this one is one that you can switch to to a Logitech, and it's a little nicer wheel, I think, than the stock Logitech that one had. It's oval and nice. It's wrapped with pleather wrapped wheel, and it's got a good amount of buttons on it too. 1, 2, 6. So it's about 7 push buttons, 6 on each side, and 3 rotary knobs on the bottom. So a good amount of buttons as well.
Price only £199.90. Or is that pounds or euros? I think it's pounds. That's cheap. I mean, $200? Holy cow. I mean, and then when you order it, you can pick either the Logitech, Thrustmaster, Fanatec, Moza, or Semicube. The other thing, this is 320 millimeter round wheel. Okay, so that's a pretty good size, guys. That's like a 15-inch wheel. Now the leather, I love the leather. Now, is it a fake leather? I don't know, but the wheel definitely looks like it's a dark leather, and then it's got the orange stitching on the inside of it. It's got a really neat kind of classic look to it.
Yeah, it does. It does.
On the back.
Yeah, nice and clean. It's got a good, clean look to it. Not overly excessive, but like you said, for the money, it's really worth something. Looking into something like this, if you want to upgrade what you got, and not sure if there's any other options for you. This is a good deal.
Yeah, now this is a new company I don't think we've talked about, the MVH Studios. And they have a few other products here, but that's really the one that stands out, is that wheel. So yeah, when I first saw it, I'm like, ooh, this looks nice. Because nowadays when we see wheels, they're road wheels. We don't see a lot of oval wheels. There's not a lot of choice for oval. And so it's nice to see this is a pure round wheel. Doesn't have the flat bottom and all that. So you could go the route I went, where you go buy a actual NASCAR wheel rim, from Max Pappas, or get something like this where it's got the paddles and the buttons and the display and everything. It's almost a better value. You think about it. This is $200. I spent over $400 just on that rim with none of that. No buttons, no display, no paddles.
Well, wouldn't you be mad though if you spent that much money on a triple setup and then you had this thing happen?
So you're talking about the triple tragedy. Travis Mays posted up in the Facebook post in Sim Racing Group. He said, "My dad built me a chassis years ago, and I've been trying to add it to it and make it work as I've upgraded things. Well, I tried to add triples a few days ago and came home to this today. Luckily, no monitors were damaged." So he shows a picture below that literally shows the triple kind of sagged forward and fell onto the seat. Like the whole upright that held all the monitors kind of just bent in the middle, bent forward.
Yeah. So looks like the problem that he had there was that he connected it to a tubular frame, and it looks like it just was too much weight. Looks like he's got a direct drive wheel, triple monitors, all hooked up to this this tubular chain, tubular frame, and it's probably just clamped on, and it was just too much weight, and it just rotated and fell right down onto his seat, basically. Not good.
No.
But he said it was no damage. Yeah, no damage, so that's good. And he says, so with that, anyone selling a chassis? Because he's looking to get a proper chassis, which with what he's got there, he really should get a proper chassis.
Yeah, that was interesting. All right, I got this one. We got Almium They offer steering wheels, dashboards, button boxes, and more out of Spain. I came across this website. I thought I'd mention it. They sell all kinds of stuff here, and they have all these different wheels, like I don't know, 8 of them, 7 of them. Road wheels, oval wheels, one with a display, most of them without. They range from 400 up to 700. I've never seen these before, so these are custom to them as far as I know. The brand says AMU. Haven't heard of that brand, but I think that's their own brand, perhaps. So I think they actually manufacture these.
Yeah,
They got button
you're right.
boxes. Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. I think this is a company that manufactures their own products, um, and yeah, some interesting designs. That's for sure. They got a couple oval wheels with some interesting button layouts with it. Some butterfly wheels. So yeah, it, I haven't seen any pricing yet. Did you see that, Mike?
Well, yeah. So like the button boxes are 250 up to 300. The button boxes look pretty good, actually. I'm kind of impressed with the layout on some of these. Like this one's to match an Audi R8, and it's got the exact layout that Audi R8 has. So it's kind of like what do you call a replica? 269 euros. Everything's in Spanish, obviously. But yeah, if you're looking for something unique or different, check them out. All right, Greg, you're back. How about tell us about Moza showing off some new wheels at Gamescom?
So this was on Moza's Race Official Instagram. It's day 2 at Gamescom, and we're excited to share a glimpse of the exciting products that lay ahead. Head to the Hall 10.1 booth. So they're showing off some of the pictures here. So they got some of their wheels are really nice that they have on the wall here, and some of all the products that they have. I kind of respect how they've done some. There's one of the wheels in here, and it was a second picture. It just is basically looks like a car steering wheel. Like it's very basic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
mean,
love that.
it's really cool. You don't see any that look like a passenger car wheel, and this definitely does. I mean, it's got like buttons for setting your was it coastal when you set your speed. God, I can't think of the name of it, but
Cruise control.
Yeah, cruise control, where you can resume and set it and stuff like that. So this is definitely windshield wipers, stuff like that. This is definitely not a racing wheel, but it's really cool.
I look at the first picture, Mike. Is this kind of the first one? Kind of rivals? Is this the rival for the Bentley Fanatec type?
Fanatec, right? This
one.
They have the display in the middle that is like a gyroscope display that always stays upright no matter how you twist the wheel. I think that's what it is.
I don't know if it does that. I would be surprised if it does that.
I just think it's got the look of it. I think it has the look of it, and it rotates with it.
Round screen. I don't know if it's going to do the thing, because that really never worked out all that great for Fanatec. I don't think.
The wall, they have a wall of all their wheels, and then on a couple shelves of pedals, e-brakes, and then all their direct drive setups. Like, I'm seriously thinking that the setup that I'm gonna switch to down the road would be their product. Their product looks really nice. Some of the stuff that they've got coming out with it.
You can't go wrong with their big wheelbase, the 27 Newton meter, I think it is. And some of these wheels are great, like you said. So I'm impressed how Moza's come on the scene in the last year or two, and the amount of product they have. I mean, like you said, they got 7 or 8 wheelbases. They got 9 or 10 wheels. They got 3 or 4 sets of pedals. They got a full lineup. Pretty cool. Okay, I got this one. Stream Deck versus the PSP. Now, the PSP is called the Pro Switch Panel. And this is that really fancy, small button box that kind of looks like a Stream Deck. And really high quality. It mounts on a RAM mount. So it's really cool, easy to mount. And we have Sim Racing Den put up a video comparing the Stream Deck to the PSP, also comparing to the Ignition Controls standard button box, which is what I have actually, and what he thinks of it. Could it replace those items? He loves the new PSP. Everybody does. Fully programmable, fully, you can do the macros and everything. You put stickers on it. Does it replace the Steam Deck? Not necessarily. The Steam Deck for most people or Stream Deck, I should say, is something they'll not go without. The way that it can change depending on what title you're playing. The labels can be swapped out, the colors, it's all automated. So he also said he enjoys the Ignition Controls regular button box as well, because you want an ignition switch. You want to be able to flip up the red cover and push the big red button. You want to be able to reach up and do a push to talk, and so that's nice. So he got to the point where he said, hey, I'm keeping this PSP on my rig for sure, permanently, but I'm not getting rid of the Stream Deck.
Yeah, so that Pro Switch panel is made by Precision Sim Engineering, who make just really high quality wheels and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised at all that their PSP, their Switch panel, is real high quality as well. There was a second review of that by our buddy Lawrence Dusoswa, and he liked it a lot more than he thought he would. I think he just wasn't a big fan of these type of panel push button boxes, but he said, yeah, I really like this a lot, even though it's not something I typically get into.
Well, Greg,
after watching both of these, it really makes me think I want a Stream Deck, because both videos really talked about how it compares and contrasts with the Stream Deck. And boy, maybe I need a Stream Deck.
Yeah. So, Greg, I was going to pass the next one to you, but you have to do the whole report in French.
No. Well, this is actually so cool because Advanced Sim Racing is kind of, I look over to my right and I've got a lot of products from Advanced Sim Racing in my sim room here, but they announced on their Instagram page that they've opened a 4,000 square foot sim racing facility, like just a facility for themselves. They've got
a showroom.
Yeah, so it's kind of they've got it split in. They're calling it 4 distinctive rooms. So they got the Apex room, the Podium room, the Pit Lane room, and lastly the Top Gun room. So they specialize in sim rigs and flight simulations as well. So they offer D-Box configurations, haptic systems. Was it Varjo? Aero? VR headsets? Is that Varjo? It's on it. Okay. Sorry, I got that wrong. And then they obviously got your SemiCube 2 they kind of are promoting, but it's so nice to see all the stuff they got in this facility. I like the one where you got the view outside where the sim rig's facing the outside glass window and you're looking outside but you can be on your sim. It's really nice looking facility that they've come up with.
It is. It looks really good. It's not cramped. There, like you said, there's multiple rooms. They got an entry, like a reception area. Uh, Pretty cool. Now you can go to their website and actually book it to rent. So they do rentals, but I also see this as a showroom where you can kind of go in and try it and maybe buy it. Because they do show all their different product there. But yeah, like here it says the Apex room, $88.99 US dollars for individual rentals. And I click it, it's for 30 minutes for $89. For an hour, $159. Holy cow. So I guess you have to pay to actually use it. When we talked about this before, a lack of places where people can try professional hardware, sim racing hardware. And so I think this really gives another place, where people can potentially try it.
Well, and you know how I've been talking about pricing this week, kind of as we've been going through with our own shop. It's hard to find in Canada a sim racing shop as well to get Canadian prices. And this place, the best part about uh, Advanced Sim Racing is they have no shipping fees. Everything's free shipping all the time, which is like a great bonus for something for heavy product.
Yeah, I'm a fan for sure. I bought my one item from Advanced Sim Racing, the computer tray that my computer sits on. I got from them actually. Very high quality stuff. Okay, Brian, how about a rig review?
Yeah, this is a vintage rig that was posted on the Instagram page of Sim Racing Point. And this is a vintage rig for sure. It's triple monitors, but all three of the monitors are old CRT monitors, which is really funny to look at, to put three CRT monitors back to back to back. The chassis, I don't even know what this is from. I don't think it's a real car, but it looks like maybe like a vintage video game or something, like an arcade style video game. Because it's like a.
It makes me think more of the actual ancient driving simulators for driver's ed.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
maybe that's what it is.
It is driver's ed. I've actually raced in one of these when I was 15 and a half
cool.
years old.
Okay, yeah, I've never seen one of those before. So it's a driver's ed simulator. So it's fairly realistic because when you're doing driver's ed learning, you want everything to be kind of close to realistic, and it does look like it. 3 pedals, so it's got a clutch built into it. But I guess he's transformed this into his own vintage racing cockpit. Really cool looking.
The computer's down below the seat. You can see it from behind. When I was now back in the day, they don't do this anymore, but back in the day in high school, we had to take a class for driver's ed. It was required in 9th grade, and everybody in 9th grade had to go to class, and they had these kind of setups. Now, this cockpit that has the seat and the wheel and the dash and the pedals and everything on a pedestal was exactly the same as I used in that class, except the only difference, it was a single monitor from my memory, not the triples that you see here. But yeah, what a blast from the past.
So if he got the wheel and the pedals and everything all set up in his computer, that had to take some serious engineering to figure that out, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, back in those days, the hardware and software all had to probably pretty well be custom programmed. I can remember when you actually had to make sure you had jumper settings on any expansion cards set correctly, or you'd end up with conflicts. It wasn't all plug and play like it is now.
Yeah, back when I was 15, I think we had DOS. I don't even know if Windows was out then. We were doing Microsoft DOS with the green screens, and I mean, I remember, yeah, I would know it was color. The graphics were really choppy, but yeah, it helps me figure out the rules of the road, I guess.
So does anybody know if like current day drivers ed use anything like this? I mean, it's come so far. You can probably get it so realistic that it would be a really good tool. But I don't know if they do that.
Here in Arizona, we don't have driver's ed in school anymore. And when I sent my stepdaughter to be trained, we actually had to hire a company for $600 to basically give her driving lessons. But it was in a real car; it wasn't any simulated.
We have a real car at our school.
So my son is 17. He hasn't gotten his license yet, and I keep wanting him to try to drive like Mount Washington, something that's like a real road to get used to driving. He's not taking me up on it just because he doesn't get into the rig or nothing. But I thought it'd be a good thing for him to learn. My youngest plays with a lot more, and maybe he'll probably be ready to go once he's getting age.
Well, I think that really highlights the car culture, how it's faded over the years. I mean, when I was young, getting your license was a big deal, and everybody wanted your license the day you're 16, so you can go out with your friends and drive on your own without your parents. But
Yeah,
nowadays, in 2023, they could care less about driving.
yeah, you're right. That's he's not the only one. I mean, I hear that a lot from his friends and stuff.
Well, I just think that's the way kids are. I mean, it's just not important to them. There's no car culture anymore. Okay, here's that other wheel I mentioned before, Fanatec BMW M4 GTE wheel, reviewed by Boosted Media. And this is the $1,500 wheel from Fanatec. You can supposedly use this on a real BMW car with the right quick release and stuff. Uh, he said it's not actually interchangeable at this moment, but when they released it, that was the video they showed was, hey, take it out of the car, the race car, and stick it on the sim rig. Now, the video when they originally released it was showing off Fanatec's potential upcoming QR, and that's why they were able to move it quickly from car to sim. His review, obviously, he doesn't have the new QR, so um, but it's a racing wheel. It's got buttons, it's got colors. To me, I'm like, bleh. I don't really. It doesn't stand out to me. I'd buy a Gomez over this any day, especially at that price point. I don't know, and I'm not a
Yeah,
fan of the road wheels that have the hoop along the bottom. I don't know why.
some of the cool things that were in this video from Will Ford was he shows you some pieces that make you use let you use this rim on other wheelbases. So he shows a conversion piece that's not by Fanatec, obviously, but you can attach it to your to this wheel and use it on other wheelbases. But you're right, Mike. He said it was a good wheel. He didn't have too many problems with it, but he's just for the price he there was other wheels that he would much rather have.
More functionality, uh, double paddles versus single paddles. Just stuff like that. He said there was absolutely no flex in it. Like he couldn't make anything flex at all. That was a real good point. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm not going to be buying it. All right, Greg. We got a new offering from SimLab.
Yeah, so trying to see is this on their actual website? Or is it Facebook? They
It's a
posted
Facebook.
on the
Yeah.
Simulab Facebook page that they're putting out pre-orders for their P1 Pro. featuring a custom design profile, single piece aluminum injected bracket, and innovative aesthetics. So their pre-order or I guess it's available very soon. It doesn't give a date, does it, for that?
They basically copied the that other rig that Mike had looked at with the slant.
Well, the uprights at a slant angle, is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that. But I think they've also copied Advanced Sim Racing. Advanced Sim Racing has a pro rig. And remember, that one has the flat surfaces on the outside so you can put on a logo or whatever. This also has flat surfaces on the outside, very much like that Advanced Sim Racing Pro rig. So they copied the name and kind of the concept there. But you're right, the uprights are at an angle. However, it does look pretty stabilized with the crossbars and stuff. I don't think SimLab as a company would put out a rig called Pro if this thing wasn't rock solid. I just imagine it has to be. Now, when you look at the detail, though, David, of how these things are hooking together, the different pieces,
the brackets
we
are
got some
different.
very unique designs and different ways of connecting stuff.
Like even the upright. Sorry, David. The brackets for the monitor stand. It's kind of like it's kind of using like a more of an angled way of trying to change the way that the bracket sits. Like you can move it around with like just loosening the bolts. It looks like, and it can slide up and down, kind of thing, to try and achieve a different angle.
Or more specifically, you can move it in and closer and further back. And yeah, the little kind of not, I forget what the word is for just a four-sided box that's not symmetrical. But there's it's got those braces that are connecting all the parts. That's a little bit unique.
I'm wondering if they're finding that those are maybe a stronger way to attach them using the ends there that way. And it's like you said, to try and achieve the angled look too.
Well, it also allows you to not have to use. It's a lot harder to use corner brackets when you're doing all these funky angles.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. I don't even see a corner bracket or one of those corner, 90-degree brackets that most 80/20s use to, hook stuff together. It's completely missing them. The crossbar that would say hold your shifter is like a piece of extrusion, but then on the end of it, it's got like an open air square where there's bolts that can be, you can reach in and twist the bolts that hook screw directly into the extrusion. So it's a fascinating way of how these things are hooking together, quite different than the original SimLab P1X. So I'll ask this: if with this thing on sale now, would it make sense to buy this over the P1X, which has basically been the gold standard for so many years?
Does that depend maybe on price?
Yeah, we don't know a price. Yeah. But I would say, yeah. I mean, I like the overall design of this. From the one picture that we have, I mean, I would say yes. This is a buy. This is definitely something you would want. A wheel deck is interesting. It's got some kind of front mount for like a Miege motor on the front of it, but it's got a flat wheel deck, and I can't tell. Are there other ways to mount this, like with side mounts, and so forth? I don't know.
When it goes up for
Cool.
pre-orders, it'll be interesting to see what the options are, Mike.
Yeah, and what's the price difference from the P1X? Okay, let's jump to results. The NASCAR iRacing series. Let's finish up on Daytona. Friday Open, my race, I kind of messed up during the green flag stops by pitting too late and losing the draft. Luckily, I caught a caution and was able to recover and got to the lead with 6 to go. I was leading the second green-white checker. And then there was a wreck, and then I started third for the final restart and made some bad moves, and I fell to 8th. And so I feel like I kind of gave up a win here. Basically bad moves on the final 2 restarts. I didn't get to the right lane, wasn't with the right pusher, that kind of thing. David, DNF.
Yeah, there was a bad bump that happened to some guys running the inside lane. I don't remember if I got hit or just lost the pack as a result. Lost all the track position. Then just got caught up into other wrecks, where it's Daytona. There's nowhere to go. And I went and got 30 seconds of required repairs done. And I come around and catch up to the pack. And as we're coming to the green, the engine blows, like not 100%, but it goes meatball and drops to about a half horsepower. So race over.
Yep, Tony Rochette wrecked out, just couldn't avoid getting wrecked. Sunday Open, Justin, P2. Started 21st, didn't really keep it clean, not really my fault. I had 12X with no damage. A lot of ghost X's. It helps to have a teammate in your split. There was a couple other teammates that were locked together and pretty much controlled the race. Tony wrecked out again. Felt like the Udler climbing up the hill waiting for the right price and just toppling over. That's a shout out for Bob Barker dying, I think. Kyle Pendergraft, P17, started P1, kept it up near the front all race, led 15 laps, and had the lead on all 3 green-white checkers. I was in major fuel saving mode and went 54 laps on a tank of fuel, only to run out halfway down the backstretch on the final lap. Coasted home to a P17. Sunday fix, Justin ran P2. Started 21st, didn't really keep it clean. Not really my fault. Oh, that's I already read that. So apparently that was the Sunday Open. Let's move on to Darlington, Wednesday Open. I ran P16. We basically had 30 lap runs all night. I ran an average of around 5th place most of the night and as high as 3rd. But at the end of the race, it was a 57 lap run to the end. And I faded after about 30 really hard. From 5th all the way back to 16th, I sucked. David, P15.
Yeah, about halfway through the race, a wreck happens. A few cars in front of me, and it's Darlington, so they fly down the track and they're in the corner. So without having any control of the car, they're going to come flying back up, and they flew back up into my left rear. It caused wheel damage, and I got it all fixed, but car wasn't never really 100% after that. And then there was just a lot of carnage that I got caught up in a few other things, but managed to still sneak home 15th, I guess.
Justin ran. He says, don't know, flat out got effing dumped. In my opinion, I was probably top 5 speed at least. Apparently, I need to learn how to protest. Luckily, I was a 28 car, so it didn't hurt the rating too bad. Tony, P7. Wasn't feeling good about this one, but after missing a few good wrecks, ended up having a good long-run car. Even led some green flag laps, but should have pitted a little sooner. Race went over 70 green flag laps at the end. Best I've run at Darlington in about 3 years. Greg, P15.
Yeah, so I think I was pretty quiet during that race last night. I'm not really confident at Darlington. I'm not a great racer at that track. It's probably my least favorite track for some reason, just competition wise. But I was running, went to the back of the pack and kind of just drove really easy for a lot of the race and saved tires and made my way up to the front. Once I finally got up to the front, we had a green flag run, and I went from I think about 9th up to the top 3 or 4, and it was gonna pan out to under green flag stops, I probably would have come out with a lead or second at worst. And then the caution came out, and we got a couple cautions late. I was racing for fourth going into turn 3, and by the time I exited turn 4, I was P15 facing the wrong way because somebody thought that using the apron and trying to come up the track all the way and doored into me, which hit another car that was on the outside, and then it's just kind of all that stuff that when you have like a late race caution, anybody that comes off a turn 2 with a little bit of momentum loss, everybody thinks that they can go as many deep as they want into turn 3, and doesn't matter who they screws or who they screw during the race, they just want to finish.
I've seen that a lot this week, where people are over driving trying to pass, and there's no way they can hold their lane. They'll drive it in below you and just wash up, and just take you out, and that happens a lot at this track.
I'm really tired of, and this happened a bunch in the race. Like I was saving tires, because you got what was it 6 or 7 sets for 184 laps. There was a lot of cautions early, so people were using up tires a lot. But I back off early going into the corner, and guys are like, you're running into the back. You get a 1 or you get a 0x because guys are like, oh, you're too slow going in the corner, and then on the exit you're blowing by them because they've used their stuff up, or 10 laps later you use their stuff up, and it's like, learn to, Darlington is really hard on tires. Like, learn how to race, and if somebody is slow going in the corner, it's still your responsibility not to run them over.
Yeah. Tom ran, I don't know what he got, but he had a decent finish when I didn't. And he extended his point lead quite a bit. I think it was 90 something, 80 something points.
I want to say he said
So I ran
P7.
today. P7, yeah. So I ran today, got a DNF. Ouch. I was restarting third on around lap 60 on a restart. The guy directly behind me in fifth, we're going into 1 on the restart. He floats up off the bottom into the guy on my outside, and he turns that guy, and that guy turns me. And yeah, I had over 8 minutes required, and I think it knocked a wheel off, and yeah, DNF. So I'm not having much luck at all. I can't get my I rating up, and so it is what it is. Okay, let's jump to final thoughts. Greg Hectus.
Just looking forward to maybe getting a start. I'm not sure if I'm going to start tomorrow night or Sunday morning, but I get one more start at Darlington. I was pretty, pretty glad I got a good run in, and it felt good, and I kind of learned some new things on the track, and I'm loving being back on VR again. For some reason, VR just feels better when you're racing. I don't know what it is, but it just suits me more. So yeah. So I'm just looking forward to race this week, and we'll go on getting closer and closer to our 400th podcast, and excited that we got some new merch.
Yeah, very cool. I'm excited about the merch too. I'm going to place an order pretty soon. Just trying to strategically figure out what I want to buy out of all the cool stuff. All right, David Hall, final thoughts.
I was just thinking you should have never let Triple's fanboy talk you into it. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
I wanted him anyways, so it didn't matter.
Well, I don't know. VR, you don't need to see sideways anyway. I didn't really have a chance to chime in when y'all were talking about it earlier between the dirt road racing versus the oval, and yeah, it's really nice and being able to turn your head and look where you need to look, but also to be able to stay focused and just to have the depth perception and actually feel like you're sitting in the car. So, Team VR for me for sure. I'm glad I at least sort of got a mediocre finish at Darlington because I am traveling this weekend, so that'll be it. We have our first away game tomorrow night as well. Merch. Go buy. It's really cool looking stuff. I know I'm definitely getting me some stuff to show off in the gym, and some. I'll keep the bald head warm in the winter with one of those caps.
Yeah, get your merch, guys. Let's get these guys some sales. They've been great to work with, and we feel really good about this. Go get you a hat, a T-shirt, a sticker. At least buy a sticker. You guys been listening to us for a long time. You got to get a sticker. All right, Brian McCubbin, final thoughts.
All right, so yeah, if you remember last week, I did all my resets on my computer and started it back up. Sunday night, I went into our Daytona race for OBRL and got bounced out 3 times. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's software. So I'm going to have to do some process of elimination and try figuring out what's going on. I think I'm having a hardware issue at somewhere. So I made some progress where I turned everything off except my Fanatec wheel and just did a AI race for about an hour, and I didn't have any issues. So I'm just going to start working from there. Try different server options. Something I got to figure this out because it's been getting really annoying. I was 1 point out of the playoffs because Sunday night was our playoff cutoff on OBRL at Daytona, and I had a really good chance of making it in if I just finished decent at Daytona, and I just got bounced out 3 times in the race, so I couldn't pull it off. So a little frustrating, but I guess it's part of the deal with computer stuff.
That's nuts. I'm going to remind you, Brian, of before this computer, my last computer, I had a blinking problem. And you think, blinking, oh, that's network. That's your router, that's your internet service provider. That's your Wi-Fi. It's got to be, maybe your network card. But you know what fixed it? A new computer. When I bought a new computer, guess what? I never blinked again. So I don't know what it caused it, but sometimes you got to kind of go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, my computer is like a year old, and it was like top of the line when I got it. 3080 Ti, Windows, not Windows 11, Windows 10, but the i9 processor, maxed out the RAM. Everything was top notch as far as I could get at the time. And I can't, buying a new one after a year, would make me sick.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But I guess my point is the whole time, I'm thinking it's network, it's your internet service provider, whatever. It wasn't. When I changed out the computer, all that stuff works fine. So yeah, you never know what it could be. My final thought, man, I've had a couple bad weeks of not getting good points, and I don't know. I just feel like I'm making bad moves. I mean, I should have won at Daytona, and I made bad moves, and so I don't know what it is with me. So it's just one of those, it's a long season. There's ups and downs. I'm kind of on a down curve right now. But with week 13 coming up and season 4 with the new, drafting series, I forget the name of it, Draftmeister, whatever it is. I'm looking forward to that. Maybe I can farm some IR and turn my season around for the point. Drop weeks are coming. Who knows what's going to happen after that. So I'm optimistic. It looks like Tom's going to win it, but it's not over till it's over. So with that, we'll see you on the track later.